Buddha Dhamma Shri Soha, O Namo Manju Shri Namo So Shri Namo Buddha Dhamma Shri Soha. Ye Judan Zugi Junala, Janju Manu Nandi Gazuji, Dagi Junin Dive Sonangi, Rola Benje Zangi Jumba Shu. Judan Zugi Junala, Janju Manu Nandi Gazuji, Dagi Junin Dive Sonangi, Rola Benje Zangi Jumba Shu. Judan Zugi Junala, Janju Manu Nandi Gazuji, Dagi Junin Dive Sonangi, Rola Benje Zangi Jumba Shu. Bigi Jushin Medo Rirali Shini de Kembadi, Nandi Shindo Mide Muaye, Rogi Nanda Shila Jumla Shu, Kurura Namendala Kandiya Daya.
The witness gets that tongue, the dog it's in the Manash Curtin Machada Mamaji, but much about 20 minutes to Mother, pound of Golo, doing by him, you want the Kitty to Mother, the other day you give a piece of a dinner. Demba Chipi, Demba Tagasha, attention, Malama, and Shinji, so it doesn't never in the Chama.
Please adjust your sitting posture according to the 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. And think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but numberless times. All sentient beings are as kind as my mother in this life. Even though all kind mother sentient beings want happiness and do not even want a small suffering, due to mistakenly engaging with objects of adoptions and objects of abandonment, they do not experience any happiness but suffering. In our minds, sincerely cultivate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mother sentient beings were to have excellent happiness and the causes of excellent happiness that are virtues. May they have excellent happiness and its causes. I will cause them to have excellent happiness and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so.
The homogeneous the tongue, you do the doing you do the thing, George, the show, the Lama, so
Next week, cultivate compassion towards all suffering mother sentient beings by thinking, how nice it would be if all mother sentient beings were free from all sufferings and the causes of suffering that are non-virtues. May they be free from all suffering and its causes. I will cause them to be free from all suffering and its causes. Lama deity, please bless me to be able to do so.
But the one that's with them, according to some, the one who could some of them, Punirana, Pajitani, but not about Sanji, they have an impossible, not about the Sanji, so the candidate Sanji, important to the Basha, or to the never in the Chinese same ways.
Next, we cultivate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and lower realms? I should take the responsibility. Even though I should take the responsibility, I do not have the ability to place them in the state of perfect, complete enlightenment now. Who has such ability? Those perfect, complete Buddhas have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the precious state of enlightenment. Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. The self and the aggregates neither exist as inherently one nor as inherently different. thus is empty of inherent resistance. Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. For this, I will listen to the holy teaching and practice properly in order to benefit sentient beings.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
That was the direction. Amount of people. The keyboard, she got the open mass in the showers. Nana, Shanada, Hina Muni Junish, Donna Deva, Terata, Nancy Pinchi down in your visit. I did not be sure.
Yeah. So we'll start with verse 25. So before we start the verse 25, then there is a line that it says, "Thus the wise ones who have heard much dharma and are wary of business abandon associating with the childish." So after this line, verse 25, it says, "When shall I come to dwell with these delights of deer, birds, and trees in the forest that say nothing unpleasant when associated with?"
That the other other contact managing the Georgian indigenous or Georgian, managing Georgian indigenous children. That not say in one. That manager not say in one. Do not that day to you don't. That's also not say in one and doing it. You can't go to Banana chicken at that day you don't want. That's Shana. That was not say in one that young serious now. That shadow she will also put that. Number one. That is that Shinjo Bananzo. Was the Shinama for the war. Shinjo Bananzo. Shinjo Mamba Yobaji. That is so that he that shot at us about so that's also the Montubanya Jabaina, Kotsuki Simanepa Jigumaris, Chale Jigumaris, or Chale Jiguma, Simanepa Jiguma, the new Trotwaki Maris, or Trotwaki maybe that, Susala Magawachi, Chigres and the Digatopachi Maris, the Topachi Maris, that the Topachi Magasa, that the Digit is so bad, that the Digit, someone told it, so that you know. Na Quran the shadra yourself ni yambatna that you say na hi pe tindishi reach to ni agi so so ke dubanya ni chi yana asa tindig member cha eswa ni member cha de.
So I should make the wish, when shall I come to dwell with these delights of deer, birds, and trees in the forest that say nothing unpleasant when associated with? So here it talks about one should understand the attribute of the qualities of companions. So and here it talks about one should rely on isolation. So at isolated place where there is only deers, birds, trees in the forest, and then they are not going to say anything unpleasant to us, and we ourselves do not have any fear of them saying, do not have any fear of them having the thoughts of having the disliking thoughts and so forth. So at such places, then we should make the wish, saying that when shall I going to dwell in this forest and practice dharma?
That is was a need, Dubanya is a need is she would walk. Pukan, Hagan Pumbahan, Jinshi to the need, Nahi Jato Matahi, Chabo, Meba, and Jishi was a social tabris, Mebas, Janshi Chine Yanoso, Jama Chiji Chameba, Nahi Dan, Meba, and your Rose, or that day should have been.
Next is the attributes of a boat. Attribute of a boat, and under this outline is verse 26 and 27. They say, "I shall dwell in caves, in empty shrines, or at the feet of trees. When shall I not look back and be without attachment? When shall I come to dwell in places not held to as mine, which are by nature spacious, and where I may behave freely without attachment?"
다 되게 되다 간다 니 이렇게 시고 와 단니도 수고 두 번 양지 다 니도 갈리지 다 비슷하고 야가스나 단니 다 간다 니 연관하고 로고 다 간다 니 좌다고 좌부다 사이 서문라서 같은 거라 좌부다 사이 공부도 나는 예산이 된디 내 간다 하간 동바세 간다 다금에 봐서 그러고라 다 하장배 먼저 시간 미세게 다보 맞이야 되는 용도 와 하간 동바다 다 힘주시 이도 돼야 네 된디게 네 자데 간다와 다 드설라 간다 나서도 공지야 드설라 봐네 자데 네 대바이나 다 친나서 봐서도 다 드설 파니 뭐 두바냐네 제로라 다서도 미 친나서 봐다 죄바니 미차네 네 친나서 봐 근데 지기 샤워 참아 보니 두여와 참아 봐 샤네 두여래 네 뒤나야 간다 봐 자도 맞다와 드설라 자세네 봐 네 대다로 잡아면 뭐 뜨고 소속에 와 된디지 사쇼 힌지 다그 소원에 봐 된디지 파사 양바지다 간다 노롱제라스 가수수게 초아이나 제 대보지 초아이나 봐제 대보지 와 다 수수 지부 초아마다 다 간다 친라서 봐다 예 자힐라서 봐다 리스지 좀 말와 리스지 좀 먹어서 다 수수랑 지부 초아를 디세 제하 이거와 랑 지부 초아다 어다 된디게 배 차바메다 된디게 내지라 봐다 수수 가디배 디아 유나스가지 된디가 와 멤버치야 와 멤버치야 어디리
Dwelling in caves of rock and earth, in empty shrines, or at the feet of trees for as long as I wish, I do not want to revert to the lives of a householder and the like that I have previously given up. Therefore, I should make the wish: when shall I not look back? When shall I be without attachment to them? I should make the wish: when shall I come to dwell in places not held to by others as mine, which are by nature spacious, and where I may behave freely without attachment to any kinds of enjoyment. So here it talks about the attributes of a boat. So a boat referred specifically to the abode where we are going to engage in our practice, and a boat here refers to isolated place. And here in isolated place such as caves of rock and caves of earth in empty shrines, for example, those empty shrines without anyone take care of it, without the caregiver, without without anyone without any without any owners or without anyone take care of the shrines, those empty shrines, without anyone taking care of it, and especially those on the mountains and etc., or at the feet of trees. And here it says, I do not want to revert to the lives of a householder and the like that I have previously given up. So here it refers to those practitioners, then they have given up their householder's life, and they have given up the worldly busyness, and without any attachment to those. And then when shall I make the wish? Therefore, I should make the wish: when shall I not look back, and when shall I be without attachment to them? And since the practitioners, when they rely on isolated place, and then since they only need to take care of their own resources, so they rely on an isolated place where it's easy to find resources for their own.
뭐야 따뜻한 뭐 디디지로네 당가 속에 내 봤더니 배 단다 디젠들라 든디지 하잔다 깔래 가보래 이나 다 소소를 가만 나노 단니 바 나시지네 그래서 가다 gond도만 양내 지난 따뜻한 주스팀 바 차고 열어서 와 디다 주스팀 바 차고 다 배서 가서 단다게 이제 배 소소를 나올래 땅바 든디 배다 미스게 라준도 든디자 야 든디지랑 가서 얘네 친구들이 용용으로 와 열이 이나 따배 맞서 소위 있잖아 다지 띵과 송자 다 베스트니 뭐야라 야 디스칼리요 와 칼리요 왔습니다 대소소를 나는데 대소소 네 임바 나시시네 대소소 문티네 다 공부가 냐네 지나 다 대다 팀바시 잡고 열었어 와
So when it talks about relying on isolation or isolated place. However, at this modern time during this modern time is difficult to do so. So, however, we can make our house an isolated place in which we engage in practice. So this also can become an approximate abode in which we engage in our Dhamma practice. So even though it's not the actual isolated place, however, we can make our houses make our houses an isolated place in which we engage in Dhamma practices. So it becomes an approximate abode. So, and there are many lay practitioners. So, and then for the sake of livelihood, then it's difficult to rely on isolated place alone. So therefore, by doing so, then it becomes it makes it an approximate place for us to engage in Dhamma practices during this modern time. Next outline is attributes of sustenance. Attributes of sustenance. Under this outline is verse 28. It says, when shall I come to live without fear, having slight things such as a begging bowl, wearing clothes not wanted by all, and not even hiding this body?
That's why you but my share. That's not all the matter. You know, Tampa, music. That's all the Rajuma dancer. That means a lot of that's also the churches at Soichi. That Hunze lost about the legend that they can't choose a name to the Mamo Bebaji, you know, Jirwa. This was all your years of the Duroina, Yenda Gapina, Nenga Mejope, Duloza Chebo, Rina Cheboina, Takumata Chapalas about the Ligipe, that Troyag Nenga, the Tunga Nenga, the Lime Parwa, that the Lime Pape, the Lime Takanda, KS also Rina Chutu, Nibalas about the Ligi Longini. The Ligi Longini, the Kanda, Yanichia, that did it, the Dodo, the Ligi, that Soito that Ligu is that's what the Hajam Bebo Miparwa, the Beboyana, Tebaria, Kumachaba, the Chulas about the village Nayarwa, or that the Ligi is a country that Jala, Karina Zachi was also Bemagiba, the Montos and Cesar Bemagiba, that the Shayana is a country double making the dish. Or that the Ligi, that's what the Ligi, this was the Yanichia.
So here, this verse mainly refers to ordained person, and mainly is an is a main instruction for ordained person. However, it generally applies to all Dhamma practitioners. And here it talks about the means of sustenance or the sustenance itself. So it talks about the possessions and so forth. And we do not own excessive things. And then and those clothes that we have then are not of expensive kind. And otherwise, if you were to own those expensive clothes and so forth, then there is a danger that robbers, thieves, and etc. will come and steal or to rob you of these possessions. So therefore, we own those clothes. They are not expensive, and those clothes are all one. So we make use of those old clothes and etc. So, and those clothes are not expensive to the extent that you don't even have to hide it or etc. So because no one wants it, so there is no danger of being stolen and etc.
Lila chapter Nemo Gomba, Lila chapter Nemo Sotobachindua, but that didn't want to see me number Mandaja with that. But the Jason nation that you want other dog, GB Chicken Dada, Nashi, you Chepan just dog in the Ninja, can't get to you, Wataja, Tunda Nindo, Manjoa, get up on a you won't say, you should have a number that.
Next outline is individual analysis regarding the antidote to attachment to the body. Under this outline, there are two verses, verse 29 and verse 30. They say, having gone to the charnel grounds, when shall I deduce that this body of mine and the skeletons of others bear the property of disintegration? This very body of mine will also become so. Because of its odor, not even the foxes will come close to this body of mine. There will come a time when such will happen.
리 나상 이니 된다도 와 리메다바 다 리데 베 하장이 자 전부 쉬고지 베 제가 자신 제거나 다 끼지 지금다와 지주도 끼지 니바나 맞대바 이제 원 로쇼쇼다 와 이제 원 로쇼쇼지 와 리 상호 단에 그 제대로 간다 맞아 시로스 통통이 다소서 우리들因为 这个 아무 장 디나시 차려야 땡기 맞지 연지 차려 그래서 연지 너시 뒤진 리지라 시 제대로 소리 로나시 차려 그래서 리 대는 놈아 그래서 리기 상호 단하지 와 리디야 방발라서 봐 리다 하장 방발라서 봐 리기 디시제 봐 그래서 깨우지 때 간다 리라 자신 돈을 벌어 근데 뭐지 리더 뭐 간다 리바 리드 파 리노디 리바 통이 너무 장와라 세비 리 하장 리바다 정강한테 리 차는데 신앙 난지 와다 정글어서 저기下3个月的 이나 또 조이노 배 자선 조만 되와다 마가와 지하다 드리지 용도 그래 드리당 고냥 같이 숨버지 차는 그래 그래서 드리기 상관한테 하장 리라 차비 내고 공사다 두스려와 이거가 니가 생각
So the meaning of these two verses, basically, it talks about cultivating antidote to the attachment to the body, cultivate antidotes to attachment to the body. And the antidotes can be summarized into two, which is cultivating the body as impermanence and contemplating the body as impermanent and contemplating the body as unclean. And in relation to a body being impermanent, then we think about this body is impermanent. It goes through momentarily changes. It goes through momentarily disintegration. And in relation to body being unclean, then we can observe we can observe corpses and etc. Then we should contemplate that we are equal in the sense that I will become just like these corpses, and then my dead body will become swollen, and then it will rot. And in general, those foxes, wolves, and etc. that they eat meat. And however, when my dead body becomes like that, become very swollen, become very rotten, and etc. Not even those carnivorous animals, they will want to eat my body.
다디게 월에서 다사지 당원 자기라 처방을 입어서 반자시라 처방을 입어서 인의 지부雄왕야天지지부 샤리다 시대 소손 제주나 자와 현다 지시면서 어디쇼로가 지도
Next outline is it is inappropriate to attach to friends and relatives. It is inappropriate to be attached to friends and relatives. Under this outline is verse 31. It says, although this body arose as a unit, the bones and flesh with which it was born will break up and separate. What need is there to mention other friends?
다디게 전당한선 자시라 처방을 입어 되게 시고래 단 자시라 처방을 입어래 다 님보도 관리 공스나 다 소소 담보 바로와 소소 담보 아마는 막 집이 가리나 된디 자시다 냥고 유나고 말에 라니 집어만 중앙에서 아마 지혜가란 자시 도보라서 같은 냥도 중앙에 말했어 아니 집이 중앙에서 또 집이 중앙에서 리디아 담보 라한다 대마제 대라한다 회지도 집이 다샤다 리바 차 가서 같은 참아 다저라한다 회지도 말 용저와 란지우가 회지도 용저와 도자 히즈라한다 회지 주조게 말와 지 말해와 어 님보 상호도 있단 거래 다 담보라한다 회지도 집이 다샤다 리바 차라서 같은 참아 냥도 중국에 이나야 다 시체나 시체 뜻서 파 히데 뜻서 차는 거랬어. 봐. 시체는 저나 배가 이나다 샤글라서 버텨 이나다 다 뜻서 차는 거랬어. 뜻서 차는 거랬어. 담보 이마데 남데 디지털 용어를 해지도 용어를 뜻서 차는 거랬어. 봐. 뜻서 차는 거래. 이 순자 앞에 냥도 용케지에 뜻서 차는 이나 담보네 뜻서 레 뜻서 왕게 단 자시라서 받아 다 뜻서 하라게 재미지 레로와 자시 코란지 레왕 코란지 지와지나 거래 라니 베소소 랑기 레왕 지와len도 달레 리와케 요마와 달레 리와메다 데닌 제메지 레 소소왕기 중앙 디비 된 자도서 들어와 녀도 디빈 자도서다 내간다 타라 소소왕 제라 소소 지본 로아레 마도와 소소 지본 로아레 마도 네 녀도 로아 가게 요 말했어 녀도 로아 가게 요 말했어 로아 배 라가 렌지도 집에 자다 차리 버서 배 시가라 로한도 공도 단자 해라 이리스 와. 이 수수소 좋아하지 마. 이리스 다 된다 들어와.
在西堂所以呢点这边人雷给忘记
다시 수수 벨레 수수 왕도 좋아와. 랑글레 저 아마글레 랑글레 수수 왕 좋아래. 자시 쿠란스 코나들레 상상 좋아와. 좀 말와. 된 레메지레와. 도와 메조레. 다른다 벤데와 연저 해지도 비 샤자지 빠서레. 해지도 주난 다 희즈나 수수 제로 고도와. 다 자시도 인다 있어. 다 레메지레와. 레메지 모다 희즈나 수수수 기본으로 와. 담보랑 조인스나 다지다 레고와. 좀 비jel레와.
And here it talks about it is inappropriate to be attached to friends and relatives. So here it talks about when we are born, then we are born alone, and we are not born together with our friends. So those friends they are born due to their own karma, due to their individual karma, and I was born due to my own karma as well. So in terms of karma, so we do not have any connections. So this karma-wise, then we are not related. So and even those that we are born with, that we are born with, like our flesh, our bones, blood, and etc. So those when we are born, then we are born together with this. And however, at the time of death, then we need to leave this behind, but to proceed to next lives. So and this flesh, blood, and etc. So we are born together with. We are born with. We are born with this flesh, those bones, blood, and etc. So because of our own karma. So in terms of karma, then these are related. So even these, in terms of karmically related flesh, bones, blood, and etc. So at the time of death, then we need to leave these behind. And for example, to give this body to vultures or to bury it underground and etc. So even those with which we are related with which we are related, we have to leave them behind. So don't mention those karmically unrelated, such as friends and relatives. Then definitely we have to leave them behind.
어떻게 준세식으로 단위만 자신의 차버리 준세들와 다 준세들 이 준세 제가 진짜 키나 디니 진짜 됐어요. 등에까지 뭐래나 예전자이 지시샤세 어디와 저로 지도와 어디 마시고.
Next outline is reason. So here it refers to the reason that it is inappropriate to be attached to friends and relatives. Under this outline is verse 32. It says, "At birth I was born alone, and at death too I shall die alone. If the suffering doom cannot be taken on by others, of what use are hindering friends?"
어디 전달에 간다. 다 돈자실라 간다 차요 말때 마차비 주신 시고로와 다들 주신 가르치나 답에 소소 간다 아로와 네가 씨빠들 네가 존재지 해지데 네 잘하고 나서 다 컴바 진다고 이나로와 컴바 진다고 나서 내가 진다는 미망보때 전바 가사 갈라리네요 그 존재be 컴바 진다 해지데 네고요와 레시 네가 지로와 네가 해지데 네 말와 해지데 네 말에 컴바 내가 진다 네 말에 이나고 소소 담보 용비가라 제비가라 또 토마 소소랑 지분이마 지우려마도 등자 실어서 냥도 진족해 말이스 냥도 진족해 말이스와 냥도 진족해 말이스 대파 치치나 다랑 지분 로아지 말은 자 실어서 냥도 스칸지 치리로야 말 스칸지 요 말이스고 파치가와 치가나 얘네 매웠습니다 다 소소게 다 돈자 실어서 하자 자침보지 대진게 레 차침보 앞에 마음보지 배 디바사바이나 다들 디바사바이나 남이 인터뷰데 돈자히 스칸지 밖에 와냐 요 말이 스칸지 봐 네바도 고야 요 말이지 와 인터뷰데 남이 인터뷰 동안 차치와데 스칸지 밖에라 이 말이지 내요 말이지 내가 소소 지고 있는 거랬어 랑 지고 있는 거래 코란자 자히 체로 뜻소소게 내가 샤와 많이 받아니 봐 마음보지 다 레사사와 리사바이나 리사바데 자히를 바꿔야 돼요 말이지 스칸지 쿠르고 말이지 와 남이 데브스 랑이 용거레스 와 랑이 용거스가 내가 난도 돈자해라고 하장이 다 잡아 봐 잡아내 봐 간다 잡아 봐 까고 레스타 들어와 된다
So here it talks about the reason that it is inappropriate to be attached to friends and relatives. So friends and relatives are like are like a housemate or like are like travelers staying in a hotel that we are temporarily staying together. So we are not going to stay together for a long time. So at the time of departure, then we will depart individually or separately. So we are not going to depart together. So it's just and at the time of birth, then we were born alone, and we were not born together with our friends and relatives. So there is one of the reasons that it is inappropriate to be attached to them. And at the time of death, then we will not be able to bring any friends or relatives together with us. And for the sake of our friends and relatives, then we accumulate many negative karma for their sake. And however, at the time of maturation or at the time of result, when this result ripens, then none of them is going to take a part or going to share portions of that negative karma that were done for their sake. So, and we ourselves, the one who created the negative karma, will have to experience the ripening results. So therefore, it is inappropriate to be attached to them. Next outline is contemplating that they are like travelers staying in a place for a day. So which is similar to what was mentioned before. And under this outline is verse 33. It says, in the same way as those who have embarked on the road own a place of stay, likewise those who have embarked on the path of existence own an abode of birth. And here you use the analogy of a group of travelers staying in a hotel for a day. So to illustrate, it's a meaning that our friends and relatives, and together with oneself, are are travelers or are worldly beings who are born in this worldly existence or samsaric existence for a very short time. And after this, then due to our own individual karma, then we are going to then we will be born in respective places. If, for example, due to a heavy positive karma, then we are going to born in the happy migrations or pure realms, or if we have accumulated heavy negative karma, then due to which then we are going to born in bad migrations. So, and it is almost impossible to be born together is impossible to be born together, and especially these friends and relatives. And when we have this idea or concepts of friends and relatives, then we already have the idea of a distant, and near. So near as in friends and relatives that we hold close, and distant as in those opponents or enemies or the persons that we don't like, then we hold a distance. So once we have this idea of friends and relatives which we hold dear or hold close, then there is also the idea of opponents or the other side, the other party that we don't like, and we hold distance, and then to which we generate anger or hatred. So therefore, when we have this, when we become attached to friends and relatives, you can also say that hatred arises together, because we already have the idea of near and close, near and distant. Next outline is, it is appropriate for the wise to rely on isolated place. Yeah, it is appropriate for the wise to rely on isolation or to rely on isolated place. And under this outline is verse 34. He says, until the time comes for it to be supported by 4 pallbearers, from that while the world is completely stricken, till then I shall retire to the forest.
다 미스무 시마 미시무 내가도 같이 커봐이나 다 이제와 요 말아 근데 와 이제와 뭐 좀 레스타들이 된다 되지
And here he talks about the wise they practice dharma at isolated place, and it is certain that, or yeah, it is certain or is destined that once we were born, then what awaits us at the end is death. So then we will not transcend, or we will not go beyond death once one once was born in the world, and the only difference, or the only uncertain, is the time of death. So death is certain, time of death is uncertain. And at the time of death, or when one is about to die, then those friends and relatives, then they will surround, they will stay in your surrounding, and then they cry in lament, they lament, and then they cry, they shout out your names, and then they experience, they feel miserable, and etc. And in India, then traditionally, then the dead body will be carried out from the house by 4 pallbearers, and then they will put the dead body on a piece of wood, and then 4 pallbearers, and then they will carry these wood, carry this body on their shoulders, and then carry the dead bodies out of the houses, out of the house, and so therefore, before death happens, before we die, then we should go to isolated place, and then we should practice dharma in the manner of in a good quality way, and then we should make ourselves no regret at the time of death. So it's very important to do in this way, and just as before water comes, then build a wall, and before before condition arises, then we should prevent it.
어디 올라선 난이 도도 매바지로와 난이 도도 매바 다 나나니나 피어 가리에서 뒤로와 피해주스나 다 힘이 금방 매신에서 린도 지부 외내데 나니 시당 자치나 시당 양의 체바 매세 어떻게 sho로 가지고와.
And next outline is, there will be no torment from sorrow and so forth. Under this outline, there is a question. So it says, what are the benefits of dwelling in the forest? And after these questions is verse 35. It says, befriending no one and begrudging no one, this body will dwell alone in solitude. If I'm already counted as dead, or even when I die, there will be no mourners.
나도 된다더래 나나니나 피어 가리에서 다 들어와 나도 들어와 피어 가리에서 다 피어데 간다 신 나나 뺀다 소소를 냥래 지네 데미에 발킨 데바이나 다 하장게 차바 폐야기 데디기 소소게 닌자실어서 같은 리요 말했어 다 차바도 가서 폐야데 미유질라 미네도 차바 폐고 와然后 이용 유질라 땅 차바 폐고 다 이동 유데 닌자시 예요 말했어 데미어서 차바 폐야 이거 말했어 다 하장 소소를 막아서다 든디기 배달아서 왔던 디 킨지지사 당만지사 든디게 요 말했어 든디기 도바요 말했어 때랑 리드 네 맞지고 네 무슨가 든디 요 말했어 그거 든디 요 말했어 네 든디 순다 다 닌자시라서 봐 답에 소소를 니를 임발거서디 답은 뭐만이 도사를 봐 저소를 봐다 제서 맞춰봐 안 도차디 다 간다 시 나니 시와한다 와 마신이는 시와한다 와 든디시네 답은 닌자시다 자다 지성이 요 강가다 파 전에 로사에 와 때문에 저기 소소 양을 내려가나 왜 들리기 때 이제 버째산다고 하다 저거 제사 당만 제사 스칸지 요 말에 양이 지금 스칸지가 말했어 양이 제사 양이 지금
이 지금서 영어로
요 말에서 와 네 차단다 차이 신나야 다 양이 제가 써요 요 말에 시 현다고 들리 요 말에 소소리나 양이 지 밴디 이제 버째고사 요 말했어 와 시가서 네 이동인자 실라 차고야 요 말에 마가다 당라 달아서 발표 마가와 당원치서 들이 요 말에 다 유방사디 유진방사 가다 된다 도도들 나도 유진방도 유진방 됐어 그 계치시도 야고 싶어요 와 나서 공연에 지하다 저들 가서 유들와 유들라 미네 또 차단 되는 거로 와 아니 엠발레서 회사가 유방사인데 유진들 내야 말이죠. 간다.
So in brief, it talks about the benefits of relying on isolation, and if we rely on isolation, then there will be no attractive objects there. So objects refers to friends and relatives, those attractive friends and relatives. Since there is no objects of attachment, so therefore attachment will not arise. And similarly, if we rely on isolated place, then since there is no people that we don't like, such as enemies and so forth, so since there is no object of hatred, there it will not cause the hatred to increase. So if there is no object, object possessor will not increase. For example, if there is no object of attachment, then attachment will not arise. If there is no object of hatred, hatred will not arise, because attachment or hatred arises upon observing its respective objects, such as friends and relatives and enemies. So, and before we die, then if we rely on an isolated place as if one has already dead, then at the time of death, then there will be no mourners. So they already counted you as dead even before you died. So then there will be no torment at the time of death, and then one will not be regret at the time of death as well. And then it will not causes attachment to increase, since there is no objects of attachment, and there will be no hatred, since there is no object of hatred around at an isolated place. So therefore, when an object is abandoned, its object possessor will be abandoned. So when we meditate, then the main one that should be abandoned would be the main one should be abandoned is the object. Next outline is virtuous class will not degenerate but will increase. Virtuous class will not degenerate but will increase. Under this outline is verse 36. It says, "There will be no one around to harm me with their mourning. Thus, there will be no one to distract me from my recollections of the Buddha and the like." So here he says that virtues will increase, and those degenerated virtues will be restored if we rely on isolation. And in the isolated places, then there is no obstacle. There is no obstacles maker. So it means that there are no objects of attachment, such as friends and relatives, and there are no objects of hatred, such as our enemies and so forth. So in this isolated place, then we can our practice become a good quality one, because in this isolated place, then we can recollect three jewels: body, speech, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So then we can recollect we can recollect three jewels, and then without any distractions, and it makes our practice become a good quality one. Next outline is, therefore, it is inappropriate for me, myself, to rely on isolated place. It is appropriate for me, myself, to rely on isolated place. Under this outline is verse 37. It says, therefore, I shall dwell alone, happy and contented due to insignificant difficulties, in very delightful forest, pacifying all distractions.
This also lila pe listen la deva yures. Listen hele chakre swa. Listen pa haja hele chan. Li hele chan listen so yang dang je pa. Listen so yang dang pen na so pe na ji na so pe su bu to yo hele chan. This also pe pe never jinge me na so se da listen ni ga la hidi yo wa. Listen ni ga la so su bu ya bo cha ga listen ni ga la hidi go wa hidi. O de cha de swa. De chwa la ji ce na that's also make you so that that's also the Kibuga sword that can live in a Silagres or Michibu sword. Elabore, so Hachang, Robert Chibusaka, Zahila, Nenzaki to all of Sakanji, the Junga, Sakanji Yomara, Sakanji Mera, so that this was the sword not the Elabores. The names of the day, that Nina Samaya, the Liga Chevaya, so Jibu, Nina Samaya. Then never, the Sela Kalina, that never Chunguris, Yoya Pedogres, or Isela, never. I mean, Mambo, the good that so I joined with that means I hit John with me, Mamboina, I lead a syndical calling the wish Euroa, or the church to say, Umuroa. That the next one is that me but I repeat it as well. Never chua that you are paid, and not do the English.
So here, basically, it talks about it is appropriate to rely on isolated place, and in isolated place, then in an isolated place, our eyes will not see. Our eyes do not see anything attractive, do not see anything unattractive. So since the objects of attachments and objects of hatreds are not observed, therefore it will not cause attachment and hatred to increase. And in an isolated place, then relying in an isolated place, then our physically and mentally, then we will experience peace and happiness, and then we become relaxed, at ease, and then it also gives our bodies a radiance, strength, and etc. It causes a radiance, magnificence, strength to increase as well. And in terms of livelihood or in terms of sustenance, and then it's easier because we only need to gather resources for oneself alone, and also relying on isolation, then less sickness or no sickness. And as compared to if we were to stay in a crowded place with many people, then it causes physical and mental difficulties, and it will be very difficult or rare to be able to practice Dharma. Next outline is the instruction on striving for virtues. The instructions on striving for virtues under this outline is verse 38. It says, having given up all other thoughts, with only one thought in me, I shall strive in order to set my mind in equipoise and in order to subdue it.
당어서 네발라 되어도 다 리드 네발라 원에 차는 거와 리드 네발라 되비가서 리드 네발라 되어 원에 차는 당원에 차고 되나 당어서 세 네발 속다 세 네발와 다 리드 네발라 되네 다 세데 네발라 관리 차고서나 아 네발라 되바 리 네발 되바 세 네발라 되라 다 레하고 그래서 그래서나 세 리 네발 되는데 세 아 이제 빈난도 나서 봐 되게 제 나도다 니무로서 봤던 리바 지야데 때랑 히지파 꽝투리에서 와 좀더 꽝을 내라고 해서 와 뭐다 세연바디야 되다 뭐 세연바디 나도 바빵가 되와 세연바차 나도 봐 리연발은 뭐네 되려 와 리연바 니연발아 되려 다리 니연발아 되었습니다 다 가르 내라고 그랬으나 리연발은 세 니연발아 되야다 다 내라고 요구했어 와 대유가 가서나 세 남도 나서 봐 니무 주서 봐 그래서 봐 아니 때 가는 양이 지쳐서 다 연담이 자주 있습니다. 그도 자주 있습니다. 연담이 자주 있고 얘네 공부하다 뛰네 와 때 데라 때기도 냥바샤니 다 양이 제기로 또 얘네 지 냥바샤니 때 간다 내루서 최랑지 내루 때 짓다와기도 또네 때 간다 때 무디비 영어 맞아야 돼 봐. 참아봐 또네 내가 지니 또고 이번에는 또 시작을 다 된다도 저래도 니는 말이야
요몽 바지단 지에바 도니.
맞아요. 바쁜
도니.
그 돈이 내가 소속을 하나도 이제 받아도 봐. 산지주 받아다 좀 막 가리네디 돈 그래서 나 와.
Here it talks about the instructions on striving for virtues after relying on isolation or after relying in an isolated place. And yeah, so if we were to rely on isolation in terms of physically staying in an isolated place, so that is the physical isolation. And then on top of that, we need to make our mind isolated as well. So yeah, and by physically relying on isolation, then it makes mental isolation easier. So in an isolated place, physically in an isolated place, then we made our mind isolated, or we create the mental isolation by abandoning conceptual thoughts such as desire, and also abandoning afflictions and so forth. So basically, mental isolations refers to abandoning conceptual thoughts or abandoning conceptualizations. And after physically relying in an isolated place, then we meditate on conventional bodhicitta and an ultimate bodhicitta, and we single-pointedly place our mind in the equipoise, and through that we realize the modes of existence of all phenomena as they really are, and abandon afflictions together with their imprints, and due to which then we will achieve our ultimate desired goal, which is the state of enlightenment. Next outline is contemplating the faults or drawbacks of desire. And under this outline is verse 39. It says, both in this world and the next, desires give rise to great misfortune, establishing in this one killing, bondage, and flaying, and hells and the like in the next.
내가 차친부 진로가 데려와 내가 차친부 리용을 해서 간다 CP원 그와 당신이 원 리미스 데려와 가서 당신 대니 원 내가 그때 내 두자 멤버십 때 사야 그 풍도 첨부 수속 때 두자 시고 차고 그래 두자 시고 차 두사나 빈지 세바 또 받아 와 네 얘랑 또 받아 받아서 리용을 해서 네 들리긴 제부터 나와 이게 바로 또 나와서 받아 리기 제가 그 내년 봐서 yes. 와. 다 뭐뭐 더 힘들어 주시면 저거라 디비긴 신경 나와라 또 우리 예스 내처럼 다 이거 이다 그걸로 지금 예스네. 다들 내가 손잡고 와. 근도를 내가 손잡고 예스. 와.
So here it says that a desire is one great harmers, is a one great harmers. So great harmers, yeah, is a one great harmers or harm givers. So because due to clinging or due to clinging, then one accumulates a heavy negative karma. For example, killing each other, cutting each other, or cutting each other, and so forth. So we create such a heavy negative karma due to clinging. So in brief, it means that because of uh, clinging and because of hatred, then we accumulate negative karma, and due to such accumulation, then we will be born in hell and experience a great suffering. And a sutra requested by the girl Chandra, then he says, due to the cause, that is desire, sentient beings fall into the hells. Due to attachment, they become hungry ghosts and animals. So even in the sutra, it says that because of desire and attachment, then one experiences sufferings in lower realms. So next outline is, there is no result, the experience of taste. And under this outline is verse 40 and the first two lines of verse 41. They say, for their sake, many requests are first made through male and female messengers. Negativities and notoriety too are not shunned for their sake. You even engage in fearful deeds for them and will even exhaust your wealth. That's all. Voilà. That's all. And also the next two lines of verse 41 and verse 42, they say, you greatly enjoy completely embracing them if they are nothing other than skeletons, rather than being so desirous and completely obsessed towards that which neither is under your control nor belongs to you. Why do you not go to the state beyond sorrow? So here it doesn't require much explanation. So basically, from here, the main instructions are the instructions are mainly for the basis of fully ordained ones. So fully ordained monks and nuns. So these instructions are mainly for this basis. And here the instructions are to the instructions are to remove obstacles. So obstacles that they create hindrances to their trainings, or they hindrances that causes faults in their trainings. So, and in order to remove these obstacles, then Bodhisattva Shantideva, so mainly for the basis of fully ordained monks and nuns, then gave the instructions. So, for example, a fully ordained monk, and then due to attachment, see females as attractive, and then it causes faults. It causes faults or drawbacks in their training. And similarly, fully ordained nuns, and then due to attachment, they see male as attractive, and then due to which, then it causes drawbacks or faults in their training. So in order to remove these obstacles, Bodhisattva Shantideva gives following instructions. And yeah, so basically, and it can be summarized into this point, which is one needs to abandon desire, and one needs to strive on the path to liberation. Yeah. Next outline is not going beyond being discarded in the charnel grounds in the end. And under this outline, there are two verses, verse 43 and verse 44. They say, in the first place, making effort, you lifted her face and drew it towards you. However, she bashfully looked down. Previously, whether anyone looked or not, her face was covered with a veil. But now, why do you run away upon directly beholding this face of afflictions as it is being removed by the vultures? So again, it is instructions mainly for fully ordained ones, and here it says that in order to eliminate one's attachment, so go to the charnel ground and then look at those dead bodies and contemplate the ugliness. So go to those charnel grounds, look at those dead bodies, and contemplate ugliness. And next outline is, it is inappropriate to guard one's own. It is inappropriate to guard one's own and others' bodies out of miserliness. Under this outline is verse 45. It says, you completely guarded it, even when others cast their eyes upon it. Why, miser? Do you not guard it while they are devouring it?
어디니 제네들 리제나다 잡아다 봐. 또 그들 상담바이나 앞에 쉬우시이나 저든 로이즈나 그래서 그 장을 뭐 맞대봐. 잡아지 그 집안에 해서 어디서
And this instructions is also applicable to lay persons as well, lay people as well. So here it says that so here it says that the body that we attach to, the body that we are attached to. So when he's alive, then when this body talks to someone else, or when others look at this body, then you get jealous. Then you start to overthink it. Then you have a lot of suspicious thoughts and etc. And then you will completely guard this body. And however, the same body at the time of death, when this body is given to vultures, then why do you stay far away and not guard it?
어디 올 진도 뭐 그리 들어와. 저기 보고 니통에서 저기 만게 사진은 힌지 셀라면도 청와 진디 제시 이슈가 진도와.
Next outline is, it is inappropriate to wear ornaments. Under this outline is verse 46. It says, if having seen these heaps of flesh, the vultures and others eat it, why do you make offerings of flower garlands, sandalwood, and ornaments to the food of others?
어디는 그러데 와서 빼 다니 통비 가라와 니마 통도니 가라 다 tuchuna kuludi tadi luce lumba kaji luce doa jin ta da me do to ta tadi mambo shobi chibu doa tadi mambo chiba ta chira chira ngaso ta tungsa yela ngaso su na shi sa do na shi cha sa de mi se tadi china pindo ke yo ma doa pindo ke yo ma ne ngaso chu chu do she ba ina wa mi tungsa ji ta me do jin shi ga wa ina ta chira pindo ke yo ma ta anda koran le sang ita nong shi de te ka ruwa chi ma do zoya pia chi de ke yo ma tadi pe jeno so bata tadi mabu shiri je tse sembo de kana tadi pe taji bo tadi maji ba lorwa maji ba taji bo tadi je ta so mari ba ina ta ma tu itna tadi je ba tadi ta ta kanda chase je ne pe kanda tu chi go yorwa en je so kama ta de tadi ba yo mari ta kanda jinse ke yo mari je ta da ba jinse ke yo mari so da de.
And here he says that once one is dead, once one is dead, then traditionally, then some will put on. Yeah. So the objects of it. Yeah. Sorry. The body that we attach to. So when he's dead, and then we then we put ornaments, and then we put a lot of flowers on it. Then we put on those ornaments and etc. to adorn the body. So from the perspective of Dharma, so doing so will not bring any benefits to the dead person, because the body and the consciousness has already parted, and the body has become just like earth, or just like earth, or just like dust and etc. So and what use of putting ornaments on a dead body, which is the food of others. So the food of others, for example, if dead bodies will be given to vultures and etc., then why do you put ornaments on a food of others? So, and usually putting ornaments on the dead body, or putting lots of flowers on the dead bodies, and usually is done out of attachment. So, and doing so will not bring any benefits to the dead person, and there is no significance, or there is no reason of doing so. Next outline is, it is appropriate to be extremely terrified. Under this outline is verse 47. It says, if you are frightened by the skeletons you see, even though they do not move, why are you not frightened by that, similar to a zombie, which is moved around by a few intentions?
다 도체도 배 간다 동산에 간다 도체디야 쿠르가 통우디 되게 뭔가 내가 간다 가서 진짜 지는 게 되게 이유로 와 지나치는 게 도체 본 이봐 진짜 지는 간다 두시 그래 와 내 돈이 간다 소소 맞대와 요구야 와 소 마치바 맞대바다 진짜 지고 다 도체는 뭐에는 저 로딩이 통우디 와 들이 잡으러 와 들이 잡으래 다 들이 로문에 돈이 들이 잡아 맞지 다 로데 간다 로랑 로부지 디나로 로랑 제스와다 나도 막 통산 나시슈네야 라양 잡으라 시거와 오다 들이 가시 막 통사 로 통디와 단도들 지나다 진짜 지그랬어 다데 로랑 나시슈네 로랑 제거나 델렌 진짜 첨부 지그랬어 델렌 진짜 첨부 지그랬어 와 진짜 첨부 지그랬어 다 들이 진짜 지고요 나서고 와 다 나서 선보 데베가라 다 선보 데베가라 진짜 맞게 차생장한다 와데 열배 하장에 잡아지니와 잡아지니 된도거랬어 때문에 로랑 나시 슈반 집어 선보 데베가라 나시 대가를 열었어 나시 어디 리우고 조지야다 다 로랑 나시 정열었어 정열에 되라 나서 진짜 지고요 말했어 다 준세게요 말면 충분했어 다 로와 충분했어 차생 제고야 뭐 왔어 충분히 왔어 내가 대신 거와 잡아지는 뭐 도시 가서 간다 선보 데베가라 내가 되게 잡아 주지 못 제고 뭐 도시 다 데려와
So at the time of death, when the dead body is carried to the charnel ground, so when others look at this dead body, so then it generates a fear and it generates fears in them, and they are not happy seeing. They are not happy. They are not happy seeing the dead body as well, and then so if that body gives rise to fear in oneself, then this that body is just like a zombie as well. So zombies are those zombies is a consciousness entered into a dead body, then it becomes a zombie. So if that body gives give rise to such great fear in oneself, then why not a zombie why not a zombie? So it means that those objects of attachment, so those bodies that we attach to, when it is alive, then we attach to it. So we are so attached to it. And however, these bodies at the time of when it's alive, then it's just like zombies. So this body, when it's alive, then it's just moved by a few intentions. Then is not much different from a zombie. So why are we not fear? Why does it not give rise to fear in oneself? So therefore is inappropriate, or there is no need to be attached to the body. Next outline is, it is inappropriate to be attached to it when it is covered by clothes. Under this outline is verse 48. It says, you are attached to it even when it is covered. Why do you not desire it when it is uncovered? If you have no need for it, why do you embrace it when it is covered?
미상 대바이나 다그 리슨비 가서 다 돌로 인제 뭐 요아디야 마상이 기타로 했어 리디야 마상이 기타로 집어했어 그러니 리니데 미상 시 리디다 마시 셈보 리니가 마상이 집어했어 집어 처벌했어 총수다 내 잡아 꺼라 잡아 온 거야 근데 집어 총 있어 마상 리니가 총을 했어 데리죠
When the object that we attach to, so the body, so when he's alive, then when he's alive, this body is covered by beautiful clothes, and due to which then we attach to the body. So, and if we attach to the body because of this body is covered by beautiful clothes, then why do we not? And then why are we not attached to the body when this body is dead? When he's left naked in the charnel grounds. So, and in terms of so we might think that the dead body is disgusting and then is unclean and etc. So, and however, this body is the same body when he's alive, when he's dead. It's the same body. So why do you attach to it when he's alive, when he's covered by clothes? Therefore, abandon attachment to it.
다들 결론은 아주 쇼로가디 수가 만나 불러야 돼. 세네 기본 이내는 레자를 잡아들어. 레자를 잡아들어. 세네 기본 이내는 짱다 같이 중전나. 되네. 짱나 뭐가 시세. 같이 나지 지식까지 올라가니까 힘바르는 장바이 니나 가와 메제바 정한자도 많이 데데 맞상 와라 모스티 월디 되는. 데데 뭐 뭐만 힘바르는 장바라 냐보샤와 머니시 데라 투아 다도 시에세 송 넘도 산초가 송과 그냥
Next outline is, it is inappropriate to be attached to the objects of touch. Under this outline, there are 3 verses, verse 49, 50, and 51. They say, if both excrement and saliva arise solely from food, why do you dislike excrement and find joy in saliva? Cotton too is soft to the touch, but while you find no delight in a pillow, you think it doesn't smell. Lustful one, you are confused as to what is unclean. Thinking I cannot copulate with this cotton, although it's soft to the touch, confused, negative, and lustful people become angry towards it.
지당 가서 금메라 잡아지야 가고 여러 중으로 금메라 잡아지야 가는 거 되게 기능으로 이러나 다 간다 다 금메 길이라 앞에 가로다 이라서 봐라 다 대다 앞에 가실라서 봐 대다 앞에 다 잡아지야 되다 간다 뜻으로 잡아지바이나 다 된다 뜻으로 힘바 양바든 장발라서 봐 대다 잡아지야 되다 집어 지송도 와 잡아지야 되다 잡아지리 그래 집발에서 와이 힘바 양 장바 그래서 여러 다 메시지 나시 그래서 가와네 그래서 가와치 지바레스 가와치 지바레 다 그래서 간다 다 레자 장와레자 나타네 레자 장마 상지라 다 잡아치야 게 요마레스 간다 잡아봐 가야 되리로와 레자 장마 상지라 간다 가로다 일레바 장마 상레마도 다 간다 나랑 간다 마장와 제숨도 소주라서 봐 되게 다 폼이 간리지나 폼이 간리지나 마장와 제숨도 소주 간도 지바로 봐 마찬가지 수수를 간다 지바래 다시가 레자 간다 가도다 일어서 봐 맞아 컴발라 샬라제바 나시 컴발라 샬라제는 최당만 나시 되게 저거 수수를 이원 통하게 되게 레마도 봐 내 간다 마찬가지 수수로라서 봐 디디가 공부니 봐 지바 지송을 해서 다들 저 게라주나 잡아가야지 되게 시고 봐 어떤 조사하지
So again, this is instructions mainly for the basis of fully ordained ones. So in general, so if one is attached to a lady, or if one is attached to a lady, so then because of its colors, because of its shape, because of its saliva and so forth, then it would also it would be appropriate for them to be attached to cotton as well, because it is soft to touch, then it is light in weight and so forth. So here, even though the colors is good, the color looks good, the shape looks good, the saliva is good, and etc. So, however, it is like the exterior that covers impure substances. There are 36 impure substances within. So whether it's a female or whether it's a male, so then we have these 36 impure substances, and these beautiful colors, beautiful shape, salivas, and etc. They are just exterior that covers what is impure inside. So it's just like a house, and you painted the house nicely, or you make the house nicely. However, what is inside is still impure. Next outline is refuting the cognition that it is clean. Under this outline, there are two verses, verse 52 and 53. They say, if you have no attachment to the unclean, then why do you copulate with another, which is a cage of bone tied together with muscles, plastered over with the mud of flesh? You yourself have many unclean things that you constantly have to utilize. Out of obsession for the unclean, also in other bags of filth, why do you desire it? So again, this is an instructions mainly for the basis of fully ordained one, and here is to so here we are attached to impure or unclean things. So as mentioned before, we have these 36 impure substances within us, and in relation to this, then there is a story about it. And in a school, then there is a male teacher. Then in the class, then this male teacher talked about how to cultivate ugliness. How to cultivate ugliness. They teach the students how to cultivate ugliness, and then there was a male student asked then how to cultivate ugliness. Then the male teacher replied, so then you should think that ladies or females are ugly, so they are not beautiful. So then those female students heard it, and then they got angry, and then said, why do you say in that way? Then the teacher said to the female students, and you can also cultivate ugliness in the same way. So you think that those males are ugly as well, and they are not handsome, and they are just bones and etc. So the male teachers replied to the female students.
레다 따와 인데나 고스 세메 빠이 랑지지 짠네 치고 쯤면데세 사디쇼로가 지
So again, this is an instructions mainly for the ordained one. So next outline is the separations of body and mind is not. The separations of body and mind is not an appropriate object to attach to. And under this outline is verse 54. It says, I delight in this flesh. If this is what you wish to touch and behold, why do you not desire flesh in its natural state, devoid of mind?
어디 대화 레자 라와 대강다 다다니 심바지 레자 먹가시 신주리라 하찬 가와다 레와 다나 데딘디 로 세미비 심발라 티치 가르치네 신다말라 늘리시나 다 데라 베 하샤 가와치가 데리지 데라 칸다 마차바 다 예리라 데디 차바치야 돼 다리 좀 차바치네 지송을 해서 아들에서와 다들 소소라 윤어에 단다 차바가야 돼.
Yeah, so again, this is an instructions on. That's all.
Debi senga yinba tese reda tawa manila kanshi ni sheba mi demi chibi chiki shase ta yinji sena chazi shina ta kan debi se kan yinba te reba tawa manila ro reja kan ni sheba mai demi lila chabi ta dire tenda maso ro se kan yinba te ta kan da 바로 그 리들라로 리들라 간다 세들라 잡아 생각해 봐 강의 받대 다 생각에 제동나 잡고요 나서 당가서 지난 드시고 그래와 제동나 잡고요나 생게 이제 생각 잡고요나 생게 제동나 잡고요나 그게 매들라 그 생게 제도서 돼 소소가 미기 통한 거다 라바 리아 이제 되게 대화 누한테 요 말이스 미기 통한 대화 누한테 요 말이스로 요 말이스고 다 리라 간다래네 되게 잡아찌바이나 다 리데 그로 오늘 맞아야 정시 그런 차디레스 맞아야 기로와 맞아야 하기 차디레 또 되게 차다서다 아니네 되게 리라 차다 생각 차고야기 되게 이제게 뭐도 하스 와 다데 내가 도도 되래 와 바라지는 잡아 가야 되래 리라 건도 리피토네 리라 차고야나 다 리들레페 가장 맞아야 하지는 예스 예스 소리 공부레스 리라 차시지 바문도스 다 생각 자기 찍고서나 레겐지 생각 자기 찍고서나 다 세들라 맞아 미 토네 대화 누아치다 라피기 레네 대화 누아 카케 모도아 리기 레네 대화 누아 케 모도아 하시 데들라 잡아 찍고야 모도아 하시 다 디레 거다 바카야 와
So again, these are the instructions on stopping attachment, especially for the basis of fully ordained ones. And so Geshe-la first read verse 54. So I delight in this flesh. If this is what you wish to touch and behold, then why do you not desire flesh in its natural state, devoid of mind? So, and in relation to verse 54, then it says, if you wish to touch the body and behold the body, then why do you not desire that flesh in its natural state, devoid of mind? So if you attach because you wish to touch the body and you wish to behold the body, so why do you not desire when it becomes a dead flesh, which is in its natural state, devoid of mind? So a dead body, then in its natural state when it is nothing, and then when it is devoid of mind. So why do you not become desire at that at that time? So when the object or the body that you attach to is that. So then so if you must become desirous, then you should not be attached to the body, since you do not act thus, desiring that flesh in its natural state, devoid of mind. So it means that you should stop attachment, thinking that if you wish to touch the body, if you wish to behold the body, then why do you not desire when is dead, when the body is dead, when it's devoid of mind? And then Geshe-la continue to read verse 55, and he says, any mind that you may desire cannot be touched or beheld, and wherever you are able to touch will not be consciousness. What is the use of embracing the meaningless? So verse 54, it talks about attached because of the body. Then the instructions to stop the attachment was mentioned just now. And then if you attach to the person because of the mind, then it is mentioned in the instructions is mentioned in verse 55. Then it says, so I'm attached because of the mind. Then since mind is not since the mind that you since mind or the affections or love that you attach to, it cannot be touched by your hands and it cannot be seen by your eyes as well. So, and whatever you're able to touch will not be the consciousness. So, what is the use of embracing and being attached to the meaningless body because of the mind? Next outline is contemplating through relating oneself to these faults. Under this outline is verse 56. It says, "It is not so strange that you do not realize the bodies of others to be of an unclean nature, but it is indeed strange that you do not realize that you yourselves to be just unclean." So the meaning of this verse is not so strange that you do not realize the bodies of other beings to be of an unclean nature, but it is indeed strange that you do not realize you yourself who continuously emit filth to be just unclean. Our words of reproach, understanding that it is unclean, stop your attachment. So so through understanding that oneself is unclean, then through understanding that oneself is unclean, then one should develop an understanding that the bodies of others that you attach to are equally unclean. Next outline is shaped is not an appropriate object to attach to. Shape is not an appropriate object to attach to. Under this outline is verse 57. It says, "Having forsaken the young lotus flower, unfolded by beams of sunlight free from cloud, why, with the mind adhering to the unclean, do you take joy in a cage of filth?" So in relation to this verse, there is an opinion. I'm attached to shape. In response to this opinion, it says, having forsaken attachment to the young lotus flower unfolded by beams of sunlight free from cloud, why, with the mind adhering to the unclean, do you take joy in a cage of filth? And here it means that if you say that you are attached to shape, so then you should feel joyful and be attached to beautiful shape or beautiful colors such as a young fresh lotus flowers. Then, however, you do not attach to these young fresh lotus flowers in good shape, in good colors, but you become attached to unclean things or unclean body, and you take joy in this cage of filth. So since joy in such unclean filth is inappropriate, attachment to the shape too is inappropriate. Next outline is contemplating it as unclean, since it is a source of filth. Under this outline is verse 58. It says, since you do not desire to touch a place that is solid by filth, then why do you desire to touch the body from which that arose? Yeah. So furthermore, since you do not desire to touch a place that is solid by filth, such as vomit, then why do you desire to touch the body from which that filth arose? Desire is inappropriate. So if you do not wish to touch a place because it is dirty, then why do you wish to touch a body, so from which that filth arose, or with the impure substances, and you find joy in it? So therefore, desire and joy in it is inappropriate. Next outline is contemplating it as unclean, since it is the result of that. Under this outline is verse 59. It says, if you are not attached to what is unclean, why do you copulate with others, which arise from the field of the unclean and are produced by its seeds? So if you are not attached to what is unclean, then why do you copulate with others' bodies, which arise from impure substances, which are parents' blood and semen? So therefore, stop your attachment to it. Next outline is indicating the body as unclean through analogy. Under this outline, there are two verses, verse 60 and 61. They say, you have no desire for a small dirty maggot, which has come from filth. Why do you desire the body, which is in the nature of many impurities, and is also produced from filth? Not only do you not disparage the uncleanliness of you yourself, but out of obsession for unclean bags of filth, you desire others as well.
다 맞아 망보랑 이지 맞아 들이 제수 소르는 디바텔라 다 간다 차바치가 가리여세 다든 차바가 그래서 다 들이셔 다 무슨 망보 쉬고 버리
Yeah. So you have no desire for a small dirty maggot which has come from filth. So if you do not desire to touch those small dirty things, such as a small dirty maggot, then why do you desire to touch the body, which is in the nature of many impurities and is also produced from the nature of 36 filthy substances? Therefore, stop your attachment. Stop attachment.
다들 원래 리무상 삼바들도 다 가벌라서 용다 이제 다다 전화로서 같이 실을 보아이 써야 맞아做吧就是做了吧去
Next outline is contemplating the body as unclean. Under this outline is verse 62. It says, even attractive things such as camphor, cooked rice and vegetables make the ground dirty and filthy. Should they be spat out after being put into the mouth?
다들 되는데 가벌라서 리와 비 이동화 리긴 대시 참마서 배 뭐라서 봐 저게 소소를 봐 카니야 주대사 시가도 사네 뭐 유바이나 봐 뭐바이나 그때 맞아요 좁았지 맞아요 좁았을 때 잡아 찍은 말이지 봐 때 잡아 찍은 말이지 와다 칼라서 배 미리다 배 칼라야 부시고 야바지 소소 카니야 주 제가 사네 뭐 유바이나 마유 양자 산다고 말이지 그 좁아지그래서 가르치는 좁아지그래서 리무장 되게 써봐 했어. 난 리도 무장 했어. 무장 되게 세비 주지 다 산다고 말했어. 좁아 차 디지털에서 리무장 당가서 칸 소리야 카드 리로와 뭐 리무장 되 사마데 버지다 칼라 이동하다 야 칼라야 보듯이 칼라야 보지 칸 셰가 산이 다 마유는 담보 사사들 맞아 포바야 뭐 짜마시 포바 짜마지면 칼라야 보지 사 칼야루 담보 산에 들어가 그 칼루 제가 사마 유와이나 마유 포바야 지는 유나 야사가 저거 말했어. 가르치는 사례 말에서는 랑 리무장 좁아서 말했어. 리무장 돼 좁아서 말이라고. 다 리무장 이봐 이 하고 그랬어. 간다.
So in this verse, so in this verse, this verse means that even attractive food or a delicious food such as rice and vegetables, then when you put it in a very nice bowl or nice plate, then it is very delicious as well. So then when you put these delicious clean foods and vegetables in your mouth, then you chew it, and then you spit it out, then you don't feel like eating that. You don't feel like eating that anymore. So why do you don't feel like eating it anymore? Because this clean, delicious food is made dirty by the unclean body, is made dirty by the body. So, and through this, then you can also understand that body is unclean. Yeah, so these verses mainly are for fully ordained ones, so that therefore it doesn't require much explanation. We conclude with dedication. We dedicate these roots of virtue to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma and to the excellent happiness of all sentient beings. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha Dharma, illustrated by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to live eons long, to have excellent health, and may all the enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread in all directions. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to our beloved teacher, Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche. May the unmistaken, may we be able to. And may we are able to, So, may we be able to meet, to quickly meet the phase of the unmistaken reincarnations of Rinpoche, and may Rinpoche's holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously without any obstacle. So may we be able to quickly meet the unmistaken reincarnations of Rinpoche, and may Rinpoche's holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to world peace. May excellent happiness prevail throughout the world. May wars, conflicts, disaster, natural disaster, pandemic diseases be pacified immediately. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to those who pass away, especially because of these conditions. May their negativities accumulated since beginningless time be pacified immediately and quickly achieve the state of enlightenment.
Daso Chinye Sabe Gewa De Tenan Roa Kuna Kambena Kiwa Jitsin Losan Dava Yite Meni Bori Do Seje Sho Shangyo Senjo Rinpo Jema Jeba Na Jikyu Ji Jeba Nyama Me Bayan Kune Kondo Pewa Sho Jamye Pawe Jitang Chenpa Dang Kondo Sampo Deyang De Jinde Teta Kunge Jeso Dalo Je Gewa Dina Dang Je Raptu Ngo Tongi Tawa Rinpo Jema Jeba Na Jikyu Ji Jeba Nyama Me Bayan Kune Kondo Pewa Sho Tawa Rinpo Jema Jeba Na Jikyu Ji Jeba Nyama Me Bayan Kune Kondo Pewa Sho 东明凝结中就觉别了，其实是看见的人看那被莫真正感受了，是我的首先的人都说，看的别的马路吧，看了就会上北行路，看的出门真正感受了，是我的说都些人都说，咱们点把健身也让走路上叫啊，也是给把钱让家心也加油马路呗，天天能把周围给人做，有时候都被对点人不接，写到就被自己给忘了。 这边狗下去，准备去整老马是我的，偏得马路就会过去不？要有点老马就多我一天老几头整把这边木老不去我心的一年把回答去这给事情了当，假设那就突然老婆去路没得别样路上那种，给啥都些别都有些说，那就让我可以心看的，偏到的往马路就为呢，今天生活真正就是一下子是的把都等有劲。